Hi there, Mr. Johnson here, and I'm going to talk to you about our identity photo assemblage project. I know it's wordy, but I've got a lot of great examples, so just stick with me, and we're going to jump right in. So what is an identity photo assemblage? Great question. There are some examples right up on the screen, and we'll talk more about those in a minute. But basically, you will be creating an arrangement of objects, that's an assemblage, that describe you, that's your identity, and then photographing that to share with the class. Your assemblage must include at least 6 items, things that represent things you like, things you do, and things that show who you are. I'll talk more about the specific criteria towards the end. But basically, you're making an arrangement of objects that represent you, arranged in an interesting way, and then photographed and uploading that photo to our Google Classroom. So let's look at some really cool examples. I made my own that I'll show you a little bit later. But these here are all done by some other high school classes. So this person here has a sketchbook. This was an art teacher who did it. So it's got a sketchbook here, a photo of their kids, some eggs. I'm sure they like cooking, branches if they like nature, and flowers and shells at the beach, and rings and jewelry. So it shows a little bit about who they are as a person and things that they like. This is another one done by an art teacher. And again, here it shows paint and paint brushes and a watercolor painting in progress. So obviously they like to paint. And then there's some sculpture tools on the left, a toy truck, uh, you know, hats and sports logos and rings and coffee beans and clay pieces and knitting. So it just shows a little bit about their personality. You get to know some people. So now I'm going to show you some examples by other high school students so that you can see what other students have done. So here, this includes a photo of their family, some writing, some jewelry, plants, some fabric, pens. There's all sorts of things. So there's no wrong answer for this project. It's just so that we can start a conversation to get to know everybody in the class, who you are a little bit. At the end of the project, I would like to take some and share them with the class so we can talk about why you chose these objects, what they represent to you. So be prepared for that. So this student here has a record, paint palette and brushes, a volleyball, a quote they like, a photograph, candles, flowers, little butterflies. So obviously you can tell, things that they're interested from the, oops, I have to shrink myself. So here we have 2 more student examples. The one on the left has the minimum of the 6 objects that you need, but they're arranged in an interesting way. So obviously there's a soccer ball, sneaker, Mountain Dew, which is gross, a photo of their family, then there's gummy bears and M&M Skittles, some kind of round, colorful candy. I do like that they went with a color scheme. Everything here is kind of blue, white, red, and black. So that does make it really cool to look at. I also like how they used kind of the gummy bears and the candy to help fill in some of the empty space. And they have a light shining on it from the side that makes these really cool shadows, which I think is also really interesting. Then the one on the right, a different student did. There's a drama mask, books, some quotes, some photos. There are strings of beads and shells, dance slippers. So you get to know a little bit about this person. They've also pretty much done a color scheme of this kind of cream color and purples, which is really, really pretty. So I'm going to show you a little video of how I did my photo assemblage. So this is me setting this up. Hey, it's me. So I've got some photos of my family and my dog, talking about who I am. I love old comics. The Avengers, Spider-Man, so I collect those. I also work with a theater group at High School South, and I direct some plays and do their scenery. So I have the program there. I build things and do construction, so I've got the tape measure. I like to paint, so I have paint tubes. I'm going to put some paint brushes out. I like cooking, so I've got some wooden spoons here. I teach at High School South, so I got my South pin. I like Star Wars, and it's a C-3PO pin. It's got a glare on it here. I'm an art teacher. I love chocolate, so I'm going to use some chocolates to help fill in the space. I also like collecting pins, so I use some of those pins. And then, because I do some construction, I thought some screws would be a fun little element to kind of drag throughout the image. So that's how I created my photo assemblage. I sped that up so you could see it in in real time. And here's the finished photo that I took, so you can see all of the objects that I included. So there are three categories of things that you must include in your photo assemblage. They are things you like, things you do, and things that represent who you are. So for me, things that I like the Avengers. I'm a big fan. I like classic comics. I collect a lot of old Marvel comics from the 60s. I like Star Wars, chocolate, pins. Those are all things I like. Things that I do, I paint, so I paint brushes in the paint tubes there. I cook, so I have the spoons. I build things. I love to work with wood and build objects. So I have screws and a tape measure. I direct plays. So I have the program, the mask. I do a lot of theater. And then things that represent who I am. I have my family photo. This is from my sister's wedding. So it's me, my sister, my mom, and my dad. My dog, Luna. She's at the bottom there. She's the cutest. I'm a prop designer, and I designed the scenery for the plays at High School South, so I included a mask from a play there. The High School South pin, because that really represents me. I'm all about the South spirit, and I am an art teacher, so I have this awesome art teacher sticker included at the bottom. So this is my assemblage. So some of the things that you'll notice here, I have way more objects than you need. You only need 2 from each category, which would be 6 total. I have, 5 or 6 from each category. I think visually it's really interesting when it's full of stuff and you've got things like these green colors that go throughout and red and blue colors kind of all over the place. I happen to like that. You don't have to. If you have 6 things, right, that's perfect. Also, one of the things you'll notice is that I overlap all of my objects. I think that just adds a lot of visual interest. And I also put things on different angles because I think diagonals of different angles make things look interesting. So I have things, angled diagonally. I have things that are horizontal. The paint tubes are vertical. So all different angles, I think, make it look really fun. So here are your project criteria, right? Collect 2 things from each category. So things you like. That could be food, music, clothing, art, right? Anything that you enjoy. Things you do. Are you involved in any clubs, sports, hobjects, hobbies that you might do, objects that represent that, subjects you enjoy, right? Anything that you do. Oh, I play soccer, or I play video games, or I'm on a debate team, right? Anything like that. And then things that represent who you are, right? At least 2. That could be your family, your friends, your culture, heritage, life experiences, and anything like that. Here's another student example that's on the screen. I like that they use the surfboard as their background. That was a really cool idea. Then obviously you can see that they're an athlete. They have a varsity letter here, a photograph of family, a photo of friends. They like taking photos, so there's a camera. They like listening to music because they're AirPods. They enjoy Annie's shells and white cheddar macaroni and cheese, which I also really like. That's delicious. So this is what I'm expecting from you, at least 2 things from each category. You can do more if you want. So let's very quickly talk about how to take good pictures with your cell phone. This will be important for everything we do all year. Charge your phone. But if you go to take pictures and your phone dies, you go, I can't submit my project. Don't care. Charge your phone. So get close to your subject. Don't use your zoom. If you zoom in on your phone, you lose quality. So it's much better to actually move your phone closer because you'll get a much better quality picture. Think about the composition, right? Where are those objects located? How are they arranged? That's going to look a lot better for your photo. Hold your phone steady. We don't want it to be blurry. So make sure that it's steady. If it's moving, right, you'll get a blurry shot. Number 5, take multiple photos and choose the best one. I took 6 photos of my arrangement. One of them had a little box on it. One of them was cropped a little differently. One of them was a little blurry. I was able to choose the best one to show you. Number 6, have enough light. Don't do this in a dark area or an area where there's shadows being cast on your objects. But also don't use your flash. The flash on a camera can wash out objects or create really odd glares. So if you can help it, don't use your flash. Don't send in blurry photos. If your photo is blurry, take it again so that it is clear. So make sure that you are looking at these photos before you get rid of your objects. Don't set it up, take a picture, and clean up, because then if your picture is blurry, you're going to have to do it again. No distracting backgrounds. This really goes for everything. If you're taking a photograph of a drawing to submit it, to our Google Classroom, or if you're doing something like this, think about what's in the background. You don't want a lot of things in the background that'll be too distracting. So find a nice space on a table, right, or a floor somewhere where you can arrange these objects. And then crop it. Things are really interesting when they are cropped off the edge of the page. So if you look at the example on the screen here, you can see that there's a lot of space around these objects, but for the image on the phone, they have cropped it a lot tighter. You only see part of the glasses, a little bit of the notebook. So by cropping it, you make something really visually interesting. Here's one more student example. I think this is beautifully arranged. So just a couple things to think about. How are you arranging your objects? Where are they going? Think about overlapping. You can see here how many of those objects overlap. That just makes it interesting. Use angles. But I love here that although the badges are very vertical in the center, everything else is at an angle, whether it's a tape measure, the drumsticks, palette knives, the fern leaf, right? Crop it. We don't want to see every part of every object. So that's what they've done here. They've zoomed in and cropped it. Think about objects that are visually interesting, things that are, cool to look at. And you want to tell me a little bit about yourself through these images. If you need help or have suggestions or have questions or concerns, please let me know. You can go back in the video and pause it to look at the criteria, right? We're looking for those 3 categories, at least 2 objects from each category, crop them, overlap them, use angles, and I'm here to help you if you need it. Can't wait to see what you make.